Hello, good evening everybody, and welcome to lesson number 2 in this series, quant revision for the SNAP exam. In today's session we're going to deal with ratio and proportion, which is yes, it is I think a basic topic, but it's also a very important topic from the SNAP perspective. Not just because you get questions in the quant section, but a lot of the data sets that come, right, are pretty basic, and hence either use an application of percentages, which we saw last time around, or an application of ratios, which we will discuss today, right? So from that perspective, expect a lot of questions from this topic. Important for us to sort of be clear with how to approach problems involving ratio and proportion, right? My name is Anand Venkatesan. I'm an educator with Unacademy. As you can see by my profile, I've done my MBA from IIM Bangalore, but before that I've done my engineering in electrical and electronics engineering from VIT Vellore. I have a decade's worth of experience in training for the CAT. Thousands of students have cleared various management exams, which include the CAT, GMAT, IFT, SNAP, NMAT, and many others. And I think a testament to my abilities comes from the fact that I've not just cleared CAT way back in 2003, but I've been writing CAT ever since, multiple times. As late as 2018 was when I scored a 99.55 percentile. So I think I pretty much recognize how to score highly in these exams. Right. What's on our plate today? Today's agenda is to discuss ratio and proportion. So yeah, in a nutshell, quickly run through the basic basic areas of ratio proportion. I'll quickly run through the basic concepts very briefly, but more time dealing with problems of involving ratios, but also averages and data sets, right? Before we go ahead, I would request all of you guys to follow us on social media. YouTube is where most of our sessions are happening live. Classes go live in the form of these courses, and every single day at various time slots you'll have something or other to learn from our channel. So do join us at Unacademy CAT4MBA. There's also a Telegram channel in the same name. If you'd like the way I teach, then and you want to personally follow my schedule, do click on the link at the bottom. That's my Telegram channel. That's where you can find my schedule on a week-to-week basis, right? Just give me a second. Here's a look at the upcoming batches. As you can see, this is a complete weekday batch that's starting on the 28th of December this month. So do check out the Unacademy app. Obviously, right at the bottom there's a referral code AV01 that gets you a 10% discount anytime you subscribe for Plus. That gives you access to these batches. There's also an absolute batch for CAT 2021, again starting on the 28th of April. And one more feature about the Unacademy app, a latest feature, is the Ask a Doubt feature. Well, all you need to do is register on the app, and once doubt to access doubt clearing, all you need to do is click on Ask a Doubt. Take a picture of your question, highlight it, crop that particular portion that contains the question and the option choices, and then send it across on the app, and wait for a while, and our experts will definitely get back to you with the solution that you need. The iconic CAT 2021 batch is starting, right? It's a you can see that these are mentors from top B schools that are gonna act as your mentors. All advantages right from preparation to testing included within this batch, right? So do check it out. Well, to access all of these features, the Ask a Doubt feature, the batches feature, all you need to do is subscribe on the Unacademy app. The longer term subscriptions obviously are the ones that I would recommend, 12-month and 18-month 24-month subscription as shown here on the screen. Don't forget to use my referral code AV01, because that gives you a 10% discount straight off on any subscription plan, right? All right, with that introduction, let's begin today's session. Thanks for joining me live today. Well, what do we have in ratios? Well, there's the basic idea. Ratio is nothing but a fraction, and that's pretty much something that will help us deal with the questions, various kind of questions from ratios. To deal with ratios, think of ratios as simply nothing but fractions. But that's not all. I think we need to understand exactly where are ratios used and how will those problem types be dealt with. So I'm going to quickly list them out here. The most common area where ratios occur, right, besides problems that describe things in ratios, are word problems where events are described in ratio terms. You need to assume the multiples of the ratio as the variables, right? So let's say people and their ages are given in ratios. All you need to do is assume, let's say, if the ratio is 2:3, assume 2x and 3x as the variables and make equations and solve. Secondly, many a time you will have apportioning in the form of ratios or distribution in the form of ratios, right? Let's say salaries are to be disbursed amongst the employees in a particular ratio. Then how do you go ahead and allocate? There's a simple funda called parts of a whole, right? The way that works is that you consider the ratio, let's say 2:3:5, let's say, describes the ratio in which A, B and C are given salaries, right? If the total salary payout is rupees 5,000, then how much will A get, let's say? So if you want to distribute this total money into amongst A, B and C, then parts of a whole says, since you want the salary of A, right? You want the salary of A, then A earns 2 parts out of a total of 2 plus 3, 5 plus 5, 10 parts. So 2 out of 10 parts in 5,000, right? So how many parts does A get and how many parts are total, and on both of these values come from the ratio itself, right? The same problem can also be solved by using the first approach, right? You could also have said, let's say A earns 2x, B earns 3x, C earns 5x, and then I could also say 2x plus 3x plus 5x is equal to 5,000. That would still give me the same answer, right? I'll get x as 500, and so A will earn 2x, which is 1000, which is exactly the same that you would get from here, right? So fairly straightforward approach to deal with ratio problems. Then come questions that involve proportionality, direct and inverse proportionality. I'm sure you've heard of the terms. The way direct proportionality works is that if y is directly proportional to x, then you can straight away translate that into an equation, y is equal to kx. If it's inverse proportionality, then y is inversely proportional to x, but you could also represent that as x into y is equal to k. So this is inverse proportionality and this is direct proportionality, and that's something that you could directly use. It's very, very rare to come across proportionality problems, but you must definitely know this. And last but not the least are partnership problems, where profits earned by a particular partner, right, when they come together, start a business, right, 2 or more people start a business, then the ratio in which they share profits will depend on capital and time period. So in a sense, what you're doing with partnerships is going to be a combination of the above two, right? You're going to think profits are proportional to a few variables. These are capital and time period, right? So directly proportional means profit should be K into capital into time. So the ratio of profit should be ratio of capital into time for the various partners A, B, C, D. And once you get that ratio, you use parts of a whole to determine the share of any one partner, right? So partnerships will pretty much, involve your application of all of the above things that we know, right? So fairly straightforward topic. I need to know how to approach. So either assume variables or use parts of a whole or use proportionality, right? That's pretty much the approach, right? Make a note of all of this when you revise. But here are the kind of questions that we'll need to tackle. Let's look at each of these problem types. First of all, basic problems involving simple ratios. Here's a question, right? At a college game, 4/5 of the seats. If you read this problem, it is very, very similar to the percentage problems that we dealt with yesterday. Tree structure, things being described, broken down in from top to bottom. But then instead of percentages, I'm describing these in ratio terms. Right? But approach remains same. In a college football game, 4/5 of the seats in the lower deck were sold, which means let's say the lower deck has 5x seats, right? You can make any assumption. I assume 5x because I know I'm going to multiply 5x with 4/5. So if the total number of seats lower deck is 5x, then the number that were sold would be 4/5 of 5x, that's 4x, right? Which means unsold would be 1x. Okay, if 1/4 of all seats in the stadium are located in the lower deck, if this lower deck composes comprises 1/4, then 4 times this will be the total number of seats, right? That's clearly going to be 4 times this, 20x, right? And if 2/3 of all state seats in the stadium were sold, okay, so the total number of seats sold out of 20x is actually 2/3, right? So sold here, so total sold would be 2/3 of 20x. That's 40x by 3. Okay, what fraction? Okay, it's asking me for a fraction. It will be something upon something. What fraction of? Just like in percentages, whatever comes after of will be my denominator. What fraction of the unsold seats, right? So if we've sold 2/3, then unsold will be 1/3, right? Unsold would be 1/3 of 20x. That's going to be 20x by 3. So this becomes my denominator, 20x by 3. What fraction of these seats were in the lower deck, right? Now seats in the lower deck that remain unsold are x. So x upon this, that's the fraction I want. You can see this is going to be 3 upon 20, right? X gets cancelled out. This becomes 3 upon 20. There's a typo on this problem. It should be option A. This shouldn't be 30. This should be 20, right? Excuse the typo. But I hope you didn't find this very hard, right? Very fairly straightforward. Do, let me know in the chat if you're facing any problems. If you have any comments to add, feel free to contact me on the chat. Today, are there sessions for IPMAT or not? Says Adarsh. Well, Adarsh, I believe so. There are sessions for IPMAT. I'm just not sure at what time those sessions will go live. Alright, here's another one. Given sum of 73,689 is divided amongst A and B in the ratio of 4:7. Find the difference between a multiple of A's share and another multiple of B's share, right? 30 seconds, guys. Come on, get this done. बहुत simple question है ये. 73,000 A और B में बटना है, right? So you want share of A, you want share of B, right? Simple approach would be, let's say the shares are 4x and 7x. So A's share is going to be, in the total money is 73,689, right? This should be 11x, which means let's cancel out. 11 6 are 66, 76, 11 6 are 66 again, 10, 108, 11 9s are 99, 9 left, 11 9s are 99. So I'm approximately considering this as 6700, which means A gets 4 times this. A gets 4x, B gets 7x, right? But you don't calculate at this stage, right? You want the difference between, we want difference between 3A and 2B, right? So you want 3A minus 2B, 3 times 4x is 12x, 2 times 7 is 14x. So clearly the difference is going to be negative of 2x. Forget the negative difference, you're taking the absolute value, right? So 2x. So if x is 6700, that's what we got, then 2x should be about 13,400. In fact, 13,398 is just short of 13,400. That's going to be my answer to this question, right? Okay, fair enough. Let's move things ahead. A certain amount, here in this problem, a certain amount was to be distributed amongst A, B and C in a particular ratio. 2:3:4. Error happened. Didn't get distributed in that ratio, got distributed in some other ratio. If B got 40 bucks less, how much was distributed? What do you guys think? Yeah. Okay, so there's a wrong split, there's a right split, right? So let's say 2x, 3x, 4x, and this is 7y, 2y, 5y. So when it was wrongly allocated, 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2, 9, 9x must have been the total, right? But when it's right, the total is 7 plus 2, 9 plus 5, 14y, right? Okay, but you know the difference in B's share, right? And you also know the total money must be the same, right? So first thing I'll do is I'll equate 9x to 14y, which means I can replace x with y, 14y by 9, right? Next up, I know the difference between B's share and which is wrong and right, right? B got 40 rupees less, which means his actual share is earlier share minus 40. So let's replace x with y. That's 3 into 14y by 9. That's 14 by 3 minus 40, which means 40 will be equal to, 14y by 3 minus 2y. That's 14 minus 6, 8y by 3, which means I'll get y as 15. Right? And the moment y is 15, what do we want? Find the total amount. Total amount is 14y, which will now be 14 times 15. That's 210. That's option A. Right? It's a fairly straightforward question, right? The first few questions are always basic. Okay. Here's question number. Here's the next question, also involving basic ratios. Kajal spends 55% of our monthly income on grocery, clothes and education in a particular ratio, 4, 2 and 5. Find a monthly income. Right? So she spends 55% of her income on these three things, right? Which means the remaining money that she has is 45%. Okay, I know that. That 55% gets split in this ratio, right? So what I can do is I can allocate, right? I can calculate the allocation to clothes. Remember allocation, parts of a whole. Clothes corresponds to 2 parts out of total of 4 plus 2, 6, 6 plus 5, 11, right? So clothes will correspond to 2 parts out of 11 parts in total in 55% of the income I. But this is given to me as 5540, which means the income will become 5540 into 11 by 2 into 100 upon 55. Right? So 11 5s are 55, 5 into 2 is 10, that takes a 0 away. Total income must be 55,400. That's option A again. Right? You can see, just the fact that we use parts of a whole got this question done in a jiffy. Right? And that's something that you guys should learn, something like you guys should apply when you're dealing with ratio problems. All right. Here's a different kind of problem. We are given the total number of students in a batch in a B school, 126. I believe up to 126 is ज़्यादा intake. Most B schools have intakes that are much larger, maybe 300, 400 students and more. However, let's say this is of an earlier time. 126 students enrolled only in 3 specializations, marketing, finance and HR. Which of the following cannot be the ratio of the students in the 3 programs? Well, why can a particular ratio not be possible? Because when you allocate basis that ratio, the value you get is not an integer, right? Because you must have students in each of these programs in integer values, right? So anything that doesn't give you an integer value is not possible, right? So now think about it. How do you calculate in the apportioning, right? You'll take parts divided by total parts, right? So and then you multiply, right? So parts upon total parts into 126 means you want to check whether this cancels out or not, right? So do the total parts, is that a factor of 126 or not? Is that 4 plus 2 6, 6 plus 3 9? Well, 9 into 14 is 126. 5 plus 2 7, 7 plus 2 7 plus 7 14. Again 14 into 9 is 126. What is this? 9 plus 5 14, 14 plus 4 18, 18 into 7. Again total parts can divide 126 here. And here I have 6 plus 5 11 plus 2 13. 13 unfortunately cannot divide 126. So that's the option that we will eliminate. We'll say that ratio is not possible. Right? Won't give me a integer value for students in each of the 3 programs. Okay. Here's another variant, right? Slightly more advanced. Right? Ram, Arvi, Mani and Suresh, 4 guys went on a vacation. And we're given the expenditure made by them in pairs. Expenditure made by both gentlemen, pairs of gentlemen here in the ratio term. So Ram to Arvi I can write that in fraction terms, 3 by 4. RV to Mani, 5:6, and Mani to Suresh, right? Or maybe I'll write it in row terms, right? Ram by RV, 3:4, RV by Mani, 5:6, and Mani to Suresh, 2:3, right? And let's read what the question asks me. What percentage of the total expenses? Remember, in percentage terms, you'll say total expenses act as 100%. So you'll write the same, since you're allocating, since you're distributing, parts of a whole will use, right? But parts upon total parts into 100%, which is the total expenditure. So again, you want the total parts. You want all of them in the same ratio. You want all 4 in the same ratio. So basically, to calculate, to use parts of a whole, what you need is to combine the ratios, right? So this is a problem on how to combine ratios together, right? When they are given in pairs, how do I put them together? Well, idea is quite simple. You simply make terms repeat. Between two ratios, you make their values or terms repeat, right? So for example, here A repeats, right? The term A is repeating in ratio 1 and ratio 2. So what you want to do is you want to make the value corresponding to A the same. So in one place it's 4, in one place it's 5, right? Look for a multiple of 4 and 5, that's 20. So let's make this 20. How do I make this 20? Multiply by 5. So do that with the numerator as well. How do I make this 20? Multiply with 4, and so do that with the denominator as well. And now I have 15 by 20 and 20 by 30. Sorry, 20 by 24. Right? And the moment I see 24, I want to make M, which is common in these two ratios. I want to make M also 24. So I'll have to multiply with 12, do that with the denominator as well. So this becomes 24 by 36. Right? And now I can combine the three ratios. Yeah, now I'll say Ram, Arvi, Mani and Suresh will together have a ratio of 15:20. When R is 15, A is 20. When A is 20, M is 24. When M is 24, S is 36. So there you go. This is the composite ratio that you want. And once you have a composite ratio, we can use parts of a whole. You want percentage borne by Arvi. Arvi is the second guy, so 20 parts. So Arvi bears 20 parts. Arvi will bear 20 parts out of how many parts in total? 20 plus 15, 35. 35 plus 36, 71. 71 plus 24, that's 95. So 20 parts out of 95 in 100%. That's my answer. Right? I can see that this is 5 into 19. This is 5 into, or maybe 5 into 4. Right? So 400 by 19. 19 2s are 38. And 19 1s are 19. So approximately 21% of the expenditure is what Arvi will bear. Yeah. So a very, very nice illustration on how you can have, ratios given in pairs, right? The idea is to know when you want to compare. Why do you want to compare? I think the hint is there in the question. What percentage of the total, right? And if you want allocation, then you need, the total will basically represent the total parts in a combined ratio. So we know that we need to combine. How do you go about combining? Make common terms equal, right? Make the common terms equal to each other. That should do the trick. Okay, here's another question, the respective. Okay, now we get into, now that we've looked at ratio problems, let's look at some word problems, right? Like linear equation problems involving ratios. Respective ratio between present age of Manisha and Dipali, 5:x. Manisha is 9 years younger than Parinita, okay? And Parinita's age after 9 years. We can start with this statement, right? Parinita's age after 9 years will be 33, which means Parinita's present age after 9 years she will be P plus 9 will be equal to what? 33, which means P is 24. Okay, Parinita is 24 and Manisha is, so M equal to 9 years younger minus 9 years younger than Parinita, so P minus 9. So 24 minus 9, that's 15. Okay, Manisha is 15, Parinita is 24. You are also given Manisha to Dipali, right? So 15 is to Dipali. Okay, I don't know X, so no point of working with that. Difference between Dipali's and Manisha's age is the same as is the same as the present age of Parinita. Right? The D minus difference between Dipali and Manisha's age, D minus M, is the same as the present age of Manisha, is the same present age of Parinita, that's 24. So D minus M is 24, or, and I'm already thinking about it this way, can it also be M minus D is 24, but then for that to happen M must be more than 24, but M is 15, right? So no, that possibility is ruled out. So what you'll get is Deepa's age is M, which I know is 15 plus 24, that's 39. Okay, so Dipali is 39 years old. Now I can use both Dipali's and Manisha's ages in this ratio. 5 by x, right? 5 by x would be equal to the ratio of Manisha's age, that's 15, to Dipali's age, that's 39, right? 5 into 3 is 15 and 3 into 13 is 39, which means I'll get x as 13. Okay. You know what will come in place of x? Clearly none of these, because x is, x would be 13. 5 is to 13 is what I'm supposed to get. Okay, I hope that simple one. Hope that's clear. Here's another one, also a word problem type, not involving ages now involving a linear equation. X spends 535 buying shirts and ties. Okay, 2 items to be purchased. A shirt costs 43, a tie costs 21. So if he bought, let's say he bought A shirts and B ties, then the money he spends would be 43A in buying shirts and 21B in buying ties, and the total money spent is 535. Okay, and the question now asks me, weirdly enough, just with this much information, it asks me to calculate the ratio of A's to B. What is the ratio of shirts to ties, right? It asks me for A's to B. Tricky. I can't really solve a linear equation in 2 variables, can I? But A and B represent number of shirts and number of ties. So clearly must be a case of integer solutions. So go back to the question and see if integer solutions can help me out here. Right, so unfortunately I'm going to have to do a little bit of hit and trial on this. What we can do is probably use the option choices. Right, can we do that? Which of these option choices will give me total sum of 535, right? Or which of these will even give me a multiple or a factor of 535? Like for example, option A. And how much does he spend? In the ratio 1:2, he'll spend 43 into 1 plus 21 into 2, that's 42, right? That's 85. Can 85 divide 535? Let's check it out. No, it doesn't. Right? So 2:1, 2 times 43 is 86 plus 21. 86 plus 21 is 107. Can that divide? Yes. 535 is indeed 107 into 5. Right? So basically 2 into 5 and 1 into 5 will be the number of shirts and ties. Okay, that seems the most likely answer, right? 2:3. So 2 into 43 is 86. 3 into 21 is 63. I am making 149. Is that, can I divide this? No, I can't. 3:4 similarly, 3 into 43. 129 plus 84. That's 213. Can that divide? No, that cannot divide 535, right? So you can see option B is the right choice. I didn't really solve. I used option choices. Option choices come to my rescue, right? And how is this the answer choice? Some of you might think just because 107 can divide 535, why is that relevant, right? So basically think about it this way. If 2x and x, if A is 2x and B is 1x, then the total expenditure will be 43 into 2x plus 21 into 1x, and this should be 535, and what that will give me is 107x equals 535, which means I'll get an integer value for x, which is 5. And the moment this is an integer value, I know that this is a realistic distribution of my money. At least that gives me this ratio. Alright. Here's another one. I'm not giving you option choices. Type in the answer to this problem. Tina has 100 rupee notes, 500 rupee notes in her purse, and the total of notes that she has, 14 notes, have a combined value of 3,800, right? Is that two equations or one? Let's see. Let's find out. Right? 100 rupee and 500 rupee notes, she has a total of 14 notes. Let's say she has A 100 rupee notes and B 500 rupee notes, right? Then A plus B must be 14. Total notes is 14 and combined value is 3,800. What's the value of A notes? Each note is worth 100. So the value of these will be 100A plus 500B, which the question says equals 3,800, which means A plus 5B must be 38. Alright, which means if you subtract equation 1 from equation 2, that will cancel out A. I'll get 4B is equal to 24, which means B is 6. If B is 6, then A must be 8. Find the ratio of amount of money held by her, right? Money held by her. So you want money held by her 100A in 100 rupee denominations, and money held by her in the other denomination is 500B. So you want 100A upon 500B, right? So that's 1 by 5 into A by B, that's 8 by 6. Or 4:15, right? So the required ratio here will be 4:15. Alright, I did mention partnerships, right? These problems can be quite interesting and tricky at the same time. Let's look at some problems here. A and B enter into a partnership investing 16,000, 12,000 rupees respectively. Remember, most of the questions we're dealing with today are all tailored to crack, tailored, according to the SNAP exam, difficulty level and otherwise. A and B enter into a partnership investing 16k and 12k respectively. Okay. After 3 months, A withdrew 5,000. Okay, let's make like a timeline of this investment. A, B, you also know C comes in. A invests 16k, B invests 12k, right? After 3 months, A withdrew, which means this investment was for 3 months, and then he withdraws 5k, which means he's left with 11k. I don't know how long, let's see. While B invested 5,000 more, right? Which means 12k also was for 3 months, then he invests 5,000 more, which means it becomes 12 plus 5, 17k from here onwards. And after 3 more months, right, C joins the business. So C puts 21k after 3 more months, which means after a total of 6 months, which means his money, right? I think there is a typo here, after 1 year, right? So if all the money was split into profit after 1 year, then C would have remained invested only for the last 6 months. A and B remained invested for an entire year. First 3 months are gone, which means the remaining money will be invested for 9 months. Okay, I have this. Now typically in a partnership problem, you say profits are directly proportional to the capital invested into the time period of such investment, right? And you can see that for A and B, there are different sums for different durations of time. So how do I accumulate, right? Okay, so here the profit sharing ratio, profit of A is to profit of B is to profit of C, should in fact be investment of A. So I'm going to do 16k into 3 months, 16k into 3 plus 11k into 9, right? Or better still, if you want to work all in terms of thousands, then I can even remove the k here, right? Since everything is in k's, I can remove that. So 16 into 3 plus 11 into 9, that's for A. For B, that's going to be 12 into 3 plus 17 into 9. And for C, it's going to be 21 into 6. Right? So let's simplify. 48 plus 99, 147. 36 plus 153, that's 189. And finally 21 into 6, that's 126. Right? You can see that all of them are divisible by 7. 7 into 21, 7 2s are 14, 7s are 49, 7, 18 are 76. So 3 also can divide, 3 9s are 27, 3 7s are 21, 3 9s are 27 and 3 6s are 18. So my final ratio becomes 7 is to 9 is to 6. That's my profit sharing ratio. The share of B exceeds that of C. If the total profit is low, you want the difference between profit of B minus profit of C. Right? Share of B minus share of C. Share of B will be, okay, in this ratio, you know, it's 9 parts. So 9x minus C share will be 6x. How much is this? If it's known that the total profit, right? 7 plus 9, 16 plus 6, 22. So if 22x is indeed equal to 26,400, and you can see that the numbers are quite meaningful. 22 1s are 22, 4 left, 22 2s are 44, x becomes 1200. So what's the difference? The difference is 3x. So that's going to be 3 times 1200, 3600. That's option C. Yeah. So this is how we deal with partnership problems. This is the kind of problem you should expect and anticipate in an exam. You should, especially in SNAP, right? People invest, then withdraw, then invest later. They go up, they go in with more money, they come back, withdraw money. Either ways, take the capital and multiply it with the duration for which that capital was invested, and then add any other capital sums that occur in the duration of existence. Okay, let's try this one, a much simpler question than before. Two guys invested 45 and 5400 respectively, 5400 and 4500 rather. However, profits were equally divided, right? So that means that, profit earned by A equals profit earned by B. Yeah, that's given to me here, right? Profit earned by A or profit earned by Ram must be equal to the profit earned by Shyam. But we know profits are equal to multiple of their investment and time. So for profit of Ram will actually be 5400 into how many months would Ram, after how many months does Ram join the investment? Ram gets a greater share, but to make their profits equal, 5400, you'll have to multiply them with times that are unequal. So Ram will invest for less time, let's say that's X, but Shyam invests for the entire year, right? So that's going to be 4500 into 12. Knock off the zeros, X becomes, what is this? 9 6s are 54, 9 5s are 45, and 6 2s are 12. So I'll get X as 10 months. Right? So just as we said, B invested for 12 months, A must have invested only for 10 months, and that's how they become equal. So after how many months would Ram have joined the business? If he invested for 10 months, then he joined after 2 months. That's 12 minus 10. Yeah. Okay, here's a different variation of partnerships, of the basic partnership problem at least. A and B rent a pasture for 10 months. A puts in 80 cows for 7 months. How many will B put in for the remaining 3 months? If he pays half as much as, A. Obviously this second again here in the problem is a little superfluous. You don't really need that word. Right? A pays half, so share of A in the rent is equal to share of B. What's the share of A? Well, ideally, is this a partnership problem really? A and B graze, they rent a pasture for their cows to graze. A puts in 80 cows, B puts in, I don't know how many, let's say B puts in N cows. Right? So the total amount of grass that gets eaten from the pasture will depend on the number of cows as well as how long they ate. right? So it will depend on both number of cows and how long. So we'll say share of A is to share of B, right? The two things will be in a ratio which is the product of number of cows and number of months, right? So that should be 80 cows for 7 months for A and X cows or N cows at clearly B puts in whatever money he does for only the remaining 3 months, right? Which means N into 3, right? But you're also told he pays half as much as A, right? So share of A is half the share of B. So share of A is to share of B will be 1:2. So I can say 1/2 equals 560 over 3M. So what will N give me? 1120 divided by 3. Okay, I think the meaning of this statement must be different, right? He pays half as much again as A. What does that mean? He means every day the money he pays per cow is half as much as A pays, right? So let's say A pays 1 rupee or 10 rupees per cow per day. This is what A pays. Then clearly it says B pays half as much. B pays only 5 rupees per cow per day. Okay, we still have share of A is to share of B should depend on the number of cows grazed, right? A grazes 80 cows for 7 months into 10 rupees per day. B grazes N cows for 3 months paying only 5 rupees per cow, right? And this ratio right, I think there is a typo in this problem, yeah, because even if you assume that this statement is correct, he pays half as much as A, right? So A pays, let's say A, B pays B, then A by B will be A pays half as much as A, B, sorry, B pays half as much as A, so this will become 2 by 1. If A pays 2, then B would pay half as much, he pays 1, so 2:1 becomes the ratio. But I also know A and B pay in proportion to the number of cows and number of months, right? So this should also be 80 into 7 is to B pays for N cows and for only the last 3 months. So what will I get for N? It's not a fraction, 280. This is 280 upon 3. It's roughly about 93.3. So how many cows does he put in? Alright, I'm going to ignore the option choices here. Right, another problem type you'll encounter in ratios is, the problem involving averages. Right, look at this question, problem involving averages. What is the formula for an average, right? Remember here we are dealing only with simple averages. Right? How do you calculate the simple average? Simple average is the sum of all observations divided by the number of number of observations, right? Sum divided by total number of objects that we are averaging out will give me a simple average. So average of 5 numbers is 61, means their total, right, sum will be average into the number of numbers. So sum of the first 5 numbers, okay, in fact the total sum will be 61 into 5, 315. Okay, and it also says the average of the first and the third and the average of second and the fourth number is known, which means the sum of the first and the third would be 69 into 2, right? That's 138, and you also know the average of the second and the fourth number. So the total should be also 69 into 2, right? That's 138. Okay, so to get to this total, if you have 1 and 3 and 2 and 4, you get equal points, you get equal values. So we want the fifth number. You have the sum of the first two, 1, 2, 3, 4 together. The first to fourth numbers will total the sum of 138 and 138. That's 276, right? Out of 315, the total 276 is the sum of the first 4 numbers. So the fifth number should be 315 minus 76. Sorry, 276. That's going to be 24 plus 15, 39. Oh, this is 305. Right, so this becomes 29. That's option P. Okay, moving on. The average of 11 numbers is 10.9. Okay, right. A funda you can use. Not sure if it's needed here. We'll come to that funda around averages. Right, the average of 11 numbers is 10.9, which means sum of 11 numbers will be 11 into 10.9, right? 11 nines are 99, 11 ones are 11. So I'm getting 119.9. Okay. Average of the first 6 numbers, S1, let's say, average of the first 6 is 10 and a half. So sum will be 6 into 10 and a half, right? 60 plus 3, 63. And that of the last 6 numbers, S2, the last 6 numbers is 1.4 into the number of observations, which is also 6, right? So 6 4s are 24, 66 plus 2.4 is 68.4, right? So you have 11 numbers, you know their sum, and the first 6 and the last 6 together, separately you can calculate their sums. But think about it, if you have 13 numbers, if you remove the first 6, so if you have 11 numbers, if you remove the first 6, then you are removing, this is the first to the 6th terms, right? And the average of the last 6th, so this is the sum of last 6th. Last 6th will start from 6th and go all the way till the 11th term, right? So what happens if you add? What happens if you were to add both of these sums together, S1 plus S2? What would happen, right? First of all, I'll get the total as 121.31.4, but then that would be the sum of the first to the 11th engineer and the 6th engineer coming twice, sorry, 6th value coming twice, so I can separate that. So all the integers we have from the first to the 11th number, but we also need to add the 6th number back to it. Right? Now, do I know the sum of the first to 11th number? Yes, I know 119.9, and this is 131.4 plus the 6th value. So the 6th term would be 131.4 minus 119.9. 14 minus times 5. Right, so I'm getting 11.5, that's option A. Average marks in English. In an exam, English subject, average marks of a class is 56 of 24 students, right? So total marks would be average into the number of students. That's 56 the average into 24 the number of students. 24 into 6 is 144, 14. 24 into 5, 120 plus 14 is 134. So 1344 marks have been awarded in total for this class. But marks of 3 students are misrepresented, 44, 45 and 61 instead of this. So what you'll do is the new total will basically be from 1344 you subtract these, right? You'll subtract 44, 45 and 61, right? And then you replace them with 48, 59 and 67. Okay, does that? So this will be 1344 minus, how much is this? 5 plus 4, 9 plus 1, 10. 6 plus 4, 10. 10 plus 4, 14 plus 1, 50 minus 150. And this is plus plus 174. So that's 174 minus 150 is 24. So 1344 plus 24 is 1368. Now go ahead and eat this. Right. So what would be the correct average? The correct average would in fact be 1368 divided by the actual number of students 24. 24 into 5 is 120, 168. 24 into 7 is 168. That's clearly option D. Okay, here's another problem from averages. Here's where I'll show you a trick. Sometimes with averages, when you have consecutive odd numbers, consecutive even numbers, in fact any arithmetic progression, right? So remember this, for an AP, for terms, for numbers in an AP or values in a arithmetic progression, there are 2 things to remember. One, average is equal to the middle term. That's the median. And the second thing to remember is that average can also be calculated as the first plus the last value divided by 2. Average could be the first and last by 2, right? Now which funda do I use here? Consecutive odd numbers will have a difference of 2, right? So if their average is 27, then this must be the middle value, right? For 5 numbers, which is the middle value? It's going to be, for 5 numbers, the third value, right? 5 plus 1 by 2 is 3, right? So the third value is the middle value, right? So T3 is given to me as 27. What is the largest? So clearly, if I want to increase it, these are successive consecutive odd numbers, so I can increase it by 2. So you add 2, you get the 4th term, 29. You add 2, you get the 5th term, 31. Right? Largest of these numbers, 31. Yes, I'm not sure if you got this. But I will, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. Yes, yes, absolutely, yes. IPM के एग्जाम में यार averages काफ़ी frequently आते हैं, right? So most of what we'll cover in CAT will also be equally useful for the IPM exam. Rest assured, even the IPM IIM Indore exam, right? But yeah, I mean, expect some harder problems. Besides the basic ones, expect harder problems. That's the general idea. Ashu was repeatedly playing a game where his scores increased by 5 points each time he played the game, right? So every time you play, if your score increases by 5, it means the scores run in an AP. Okay, he plays a total of 11 times, so that's 11 trials. Middle value will be the 11 plus 1 by 2, the sixth value, right? And his average score is 41, which means the sixth value is 41. What was his highest score, right? So you want to go all the way till the last value, 11th value, right? How many times will I have to add 5 points each, right? You keep adding. 7th, that's once, right? So 6 plus 1 is 7, so you add it once. 6 plus 11 is 5, which means you added 5 times. So 41 plus 5 times 5 is 25. This becomes 66. So his highest score must have been 66 marks, 66 points. No, not 71, right? You can check it out, na? If this is the sixth value, 41, add 5, 46, add 5, 51, add 5, 56, 61 and 66, right? So this is the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and the 11th. That's going to be the largest value, highest score. Okay, I'm also going to discuss one data set, one involving percentages, one ratios. Interesting. Look at this. There's a table which shows the percentage population of 6 states, A, B, C, D, E, F. The percentage of the population below the poverty line and proportion of male and female in both categories of BPL and APL, right? Below poverty line and above poverty line, right? So clearly, right, this split of 2:3 will apply only to this percentage, right? This split will then apply to what? 100% minus the 16%, right? It will apply to the complement. Okay, let's try the question. The total population of state A is 5,000. What is the number of females above poverty line, right? So you want above poverty line. Sabse pehle, below poverty line is 16. So above poverty line in A is going to be 84%. So 84 upon 100 into 5,000. And knock off the 2 zeros. 84 into 50, 0. 4,200. Okay. So 4,200 people live above the poverty line, and in that category, males to females is 3:4. We want the number of females. So females would be 4 parts out of 7 in 4,200. Right? So 7, 6, 6 4s are 2,400. Right? So there you go. Number of females must be 2,400. Option B. Yeah, fairly straightforward. Okay, here's another one. If the population of C and D together is 20,000, what is the number of females BPL in the above states? Below poverty line for C and D. Can I really do it? If I am given the total of C and D, can I mark? Can I calculate? Total females below poverty line, right? Now think about it. Females below the poverty line, right? In state C, females below the poverty line will correspond to the ratio number 4 in the ratio. So females here will be 4 parts out of 7 parts in the population below poverty line. But below poverty line is 14%. So of, or rather into 14% of the population of state C, right? These are the number of females BPL in state C. How about state D, right? So you'll have females correspond to 2. So 2/7 in 20%, right? So 20 by 100 into D, right? So you can see that the 700 is common in the denominator. What I have is 14 into 4, 56C plus 40D. But you don't have C and D, right? You have C and D together. C and D combined is 20,000. Right? Well, I can, for this problem, all I can do is I can shrug it off and say I'll have to mark option D, right? Right? If only the products had given me equal coefficients, right? Something common. अगर कुछ common आ जाता तो हम इसको फिर भी calculate कर सकते थे, right? So cannot be determined here. Okay. Here's another one. Population of males below poverty line. Right? You have population of males below poverty line C is 6,000. Okay. 6,000 males below poverty line. Right? Go back to that ratio in state C. Below poverty line, the ratio is 3:4, right? So 3/4 will be males below poverty line, that's 6,000 divided by females below poverty lines, FB, right? Or F. What will I get for F? Right? So 3 into 2,000 is 6,000. That gives me 8,000 as the number of females below the poverty line, which means total number of people below poverty line in total BPL in state C would then be 14,000, right? But you know that BPL is 14% of the total, right? So total state C would be 14,000 divided by 14%, right? So divided by 14 into 100, that's 1,000 into 100, 1 lakh. Okay, total population of C is 1 lakh people, right? Just as if you go on to state D, the other information, state E. Right? In state E, I have 1,000 males below poverty line. Let's go to state E, 4:1. Right? So 4/1 will be males 1,000 upon females F dash, let's say. F dash I'll get as 250 now. Right? Which means total becomes 250 plus 1,000. Total BPL in E becomes 1,250. Right? And if this is 1,250, in E, I know 25% people live below the poverty line. So again, 25 by 100 into the total will be 1,250. 25 into 5 is 125. 50 into 100. Total in state E would be 50 into 100, 5,000. So what is the ratio of the total population of state C and state E? Right? Ratio. Right? State C is 1 lakh. Is to state E is 5,000. Right? So as weird as that sounds, you'll get 20:1, which is again not A. Right? Okay, weird. Option choices are very weird. But again, the question is not about the option choices. The question is about the approach that we'll take. And I hope that you guys can work your way around simpler situations like these. Ratio दिया हुआ है, percentage दिया हुआ है. I mean, बहुत commonly ऐसा भी होगा. You might be given a pie chart, right, where things are divided in percentage or degree terms, and then further split into male and female in ratio terms, right? You should know how to work forward with the data or work backwards, just like it was in this particular question, right? I'm going to leave this set for your practice at home. I'm going to let you read these 3 questions. Question number 1, question number 2, and question number 3. Just pause the video and start solving. And yeah, that's about it for today. Well, we learnt about ratios. Next class we'll deal with time speed and we'll deal with mixtures and averages, weighted averages at that, followed by time and work and TSD. That's going to be following up. So keep learning, right, guys? Stay in touch. Make sure that you download the Unacademy app. Try it out for free of cost. I mean, you can see there's plenty of classes in the form of special trial classes by both me and other educators, right? All you need to do is go in the app, select once you install the app, select the product, and when you're making the payment, make sure that you use my referral code AV01, because that gives you a 10% discount, right? Not just for CAT, not just for management exams, but a very, very large variety of exams that will be applicable for, right? Make sure that You follow us on Telegram channels in these courses going live every single day. Make best use of that. And also, I've sort of highlighted my Telegram link. This is my Telegram Unacademy channel. All my sessions on YouTube. Schedule going up daily over here. Anand for Quant is my handle. Right. Thank you guys. Have a great day. And see you tomorrow. Same time, 6 p.m. Until then, bye-bye. Have a great day.